God bless you and welcome to another episode of God at Work. This time our subtitle is How Prayer Changes Things. And the little examples that I'm going to be using today are all situations where God has moved through prayer and is continuing to move through prayer, but there's specific prayer needed that would appreciate your prayers going into it as well. So Jerry's going to start out with a song called I Pray for You.
I pray for you. On my knees I start my day with you. For I know this is a way that I can help you rise above. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really plead for you. For I see the desperate need in you, and I long to be a strength to you and help you carry on. So now I'll take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really pray for you. As you fight to move ahead in your plight upon your bed, for the sorrow in your heart and all the troubles that surround, I come before the King right now, petition Him to bring you now the strength you need, the faith you lack, and for His love to abound. And yes, I pray for you. I give a choice part of my day to you. I have the faith He'll make a way for you when all seems lost. So now I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really cry for you. Pour out my heart, empty my eyes for you, fully aware that He who died for you now lives to strengthen you. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really cry for you. As you fight to overcome, or you struggle with someone, as you battle with some task that's far too great for you to win, I ask Him on my knees right now to bring the things you need right now, for light to see His loving hand in all you're going through. And yes, dear one, I pray for you. On my knees I start my day with you, for I know this is a way that I can help you rise above. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really plead for you. So at His feet I intercede for you, for I know He knows what's best for you and wants what's right for you. And if I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, He'll surely fight for you, because He loves you, and I love you. I pray for you.
I pray for you. And as we carry on throughout the rest of this program, I'd like to challenge you to be praying in each one of these situations. And as it comes to your mind throughout the week or whenever, just bring it up in prayer, because they all are circumstances that really need your prayer. The first one here that I'm going to be looking at is, I just got back from Mexico. Some of you knew I was traveling and was in Mexico City. And so Jerry and I, not Mexico, well, I was in Mexico City, but that was only part of it. But Jerry and I had to do the programs in a slightly different way. But it seemed like a lot of people really enjoyed seeing some of the highlights from programs way back from the first in the first part of the first 100 episodes. So this one here, though, is while I was away, these first couple. And as you can see in the first picture here, there's a picture of me together with the tall one standing up. That is Sonata Bowen, and she is the founder of a ministry called Levanta, which I like a rise, get up, rise up. And the one beside her is the Mexican director of that particular ministry that Sonata founded years ago. Apparently, Sonata has been doing this for 22 years. And I can tell you, it was not easy work, easy roads. But watching her and the passion that she had for these people really impacted my heart. She reached out with so much love and compassion to these people every single trip part that we went on, because we went from Mexico City down to a place called Puebla, another city, fairly major city in Mexico. And then from there, we went up to a few places up in the mountain area. Not easy drives, not easy places to get to. And then do a meeting when you get up there. And yet she's been doing this for 22 years. And then we went down to Oaxaca, the city of Oaxaca, in the state of Oaxaca, where their main offices are down in Mexico. And we went up into some areas that the roads were absolutely, as you can see in this next picture, this is what the roads were like in a lot of the areas, getting to and from some of these places. So it's not an easy trip even to get there. And then do a meeting with the people when you get there, reaching out and extending your hand and loving the people. And yet you saw Sonata do this with so much love and so much compassion on the people, realizing, a lot of the places didn't have actual bathrooms. It was outhouses and things like this. So it was not an easy physical trip either. But it was, she does every time she goes down there, reaches out into these villages. And they're looking at all sorts of different projects that they can work, not only with mothers, single mothers, and things like that, but also working with the people up in the villages that don't have a lot of chance to get into the city and see other things there. One of the fellows has a degree in setting up things in a way with they're biodegradable, biologically sound programs that he's built, teaching people how to build their own gardens and food supply, teaching them how to make their outhouses so they are properly disposing of all the materials, making them in outhouses. And it's amazing the work that they're doing. That young fellow is going from village to village to village, setting up these programs, helping the people be able to have their own food supply, helping them be able to learn how to do all of these things to make them more sanitary. And watching his heart for the people is also amazing. But they would do this every single day. And I can tell you it needs prayer. I know that they're looking at trying to expand their team down there to bring in more people, to have more people that are able to work with them and help them out, get to some of these villages so that they aren't constantly on the road every day to get to different villages, but they'll be able to reach more villages as they can build their team. And that is a point of prayer that is really needed. They need to get more people that are involved and able to help, able to work with the people, able to get out into the villages, and able to see these things go forth, reaching to some of these little tiny churches that have such a love for God and a love for the people in their villages. This is another picture here of Sonata, who was the founder, and one of the Mexican directors, but her husband, the main director, Martin, in the background. But you see Sonata just with so much compassion and love in her heart for these people. And she needs strength to be able to carry on doing what she's doing. But she also is looking and desperately needing supporters that can support regularly. As you know, there's staff down there they'd be able to do more with if they had more funds coming in. Because right now it's a desperate need to get more finances coming in to help fund what they're doing. You know, one person can't do it alone. But her heart for those people is so big, so great, that she's doing all that she can to keep it running. So Sonata and that ministry, Levanta, need your prayers. Prayer for more finances, more regular finances, donations, donors that are constant, like regular monthly donors, so they know what they've got that they can count on every month, as well as more team members that will become a part of what they're doing. And a lot of those team members can be volunteers. There's people down in Mexico that could be looking for an opportunity to serve God, have other income. They don't need a salary, but they want to give their time to God. So if any of you have any heart for that area or feel God tugging on your heart a little, say, this is an area that you can help out. It's a very vital ministry down in those villages. Not a lot of people go up, way up into the mountains. And physically, I can tell you, it's not an easy trip, easy job. So if any of you have it on your hearts, I'll put some information in the description as to how you could reach them in their ministry, or you can contact me and I can get it to you if I don't get the information into the description. But that is one area of prayer that I would really ask you to keep close to your heart as you pray and keep lifting them up. But after I left that area of Mexico, I went up north of Mexico City to a place called Tepoztlan. And there's a church there that Jerry and I had ministered at before, that when I was in the hospital, they have a real heart for prayer. When I was in the hospital, the pastor, one of the pastors of the church, she sent a little video up of them praying for me while I was in that hospital for almost 6 months. So they have a real heart for prayer and know the importance and value of it. But their ministry, where the church that Jerry and I were at, their ministry is under another couple. And there's a picture here of Dr. Carlos Quiroa and his wife Ingrid and I. This is just outside of Tepoztlan. And Carlos has 125 or 50 churches in Mexico or around the area. And he is no longer pastoring one church specifically because he's overseeing and trying to all of these different churches. But he's also, for several years, had what in North America and Europe was known as the March for Jesus. Down there in Mexico, they have set up what they call the Marcha de Gloria, March of Glory. And it's not easy getting permission to do those type of things in Mexico. But Carlos has managed to do that. He's managed to be able to get those type of things set up down there. But it's not easy. In Mexico, getting permits to set up a stage, get a stage set up in one of the main plazas in Mexico City and be able to do a march. And this year, they are looking at hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. He's looking at up to 1 million people and believing for it. But to be able to do that march, it's going to cost them 3.5 million Mexican pesos, which for them is a fortune down there. It's a lot of money up here. That's like $175,000, $180,000 American dollars. So it's very, very expensive output needed for that march to go on. But it's a witness. When you imagine getting all of those Christians together, the witness that it is in that city, around that country, it's amazing what God is doing and how he is reaching out in different ways to touch these people. And I know that Dr. Carlos and his wife have vision to see so much more happening. He was able, in Mexico City, in Mexico in general, it's not easy for a Christian organization to actually acquire a radio station, an actual radio station that broadcasts constantly and is all over the nation. But Dr. Carlos, with his faith and stepping out, believing, was able to do so. And it kind of struck me funny because the pastor that I've worked with in Argentina for so many years, when I first started working with them, the name of their ministry was Ondas de Amor y Paz, Waves of Love and Peace. And the name of their radio was Ondas Waves of Life. And if you look at this next picture, you'll see all that poster behind me. That's what their radio station was called, Ondas de Vida, Waves of Life. And they have this going with different people running a different program every hour type thing. But Dr. Carlos's wife, Ingrid, she is up at about 4:30 every single morning doing a program live on air. So people can call in with their needs and prayer requests. And then right after she finishes, then Dr. Carlos has a program live on air. And the main radio station is in Mexico City, but they do it have a live link in from their home, so they don't have to drive into the city every day. But they do this program every single day because their hearts are for reaching the people and being able to get them to know why they're willing to be up at 4 a.m. every day, because of their love and passion for Jesus and desiring it to be seen in the lives of all the people around them. So then there's one more picture here. This is in the actual lobby of the radio station, and that's the couple that pastor the church up into Pozatlan, Daniel and Sylvia Pineda. And they have such a heart for the people as well that we went into Mexico City to the actual station to do that particular program. And Sylvia and another sister were the main moderators for the program that we did. But we were sharing about different healings and testimonies, and people were calling in from all over, sending messages in, texting in, and getting messages across in prayer requests. So people were able to call in and to message in to a live program and get prayer right then and there, right when they had that need and made that request known. The prayer went through. So I'd really appreciate if you could remember in your prayers Dr. Carlos and Ingrid Quiroa and their passion for that country and the need of reaching out into that country. It's not easy when you're in a country like Mexico to raise $175,000, $180,000, 3.5 million Mexican pesos. Not easy to do. But they believe in faith that when God is leading and guiding, he's going to provide. And he has faithfully done so for so many years now. And the couple, Daniel and Sylvia, that I showed you a few minutes ago, they are in a church building right now, and it's become very obvious that that facility is not going to hold them too much longer, and they're going to have to be looking for a new facility. And if you keep that in prayer as well as to where God would have them, so they don't have to keep moving all the time. They're already in a different place from when Jerry and I were there. They're in a bigger place, but they're outgrowing it very quickly as well. And it's not going to stop there. So keep them in your prayers as well. So that is the ministry of Dr. Carlos. The churches are all called Torre Fuerte. If you're looking for an exciting church in Mexico and you don't have one, find one of the Torre Fuerte churches around there. Or I will put some details in the description as well as to how you can reach them and find out where you're the closest Torre Fuerte to where you are is Strong Tower. For you, those of you that don't understand Torre Fuerte, Strong Tower, the name of their churches. And now I want to go back, and several of you have been asking if there's any update or how Pastor Karen Connolly in the Isle of Wight is doing. And there's Karen. That's when I was over there a couple of months ago. But after I was over there, she didn't have headaches for ages. Went on for a good couple until just recently, when all of a sudden headaches started hitting her again. But before that started hitting her, she went to see her doctor, and she had an MRI done. And here's what she had to say about it. She said, the doctor said that the tumors are still growing and the mass is affecting the left optic nerve. He was expecting them to be larger than they were, but they haven't started to shrink as yet. He's calling another team meeting with my surgeon and the radiation team. He thinks I should have more surgery to remove some of the larger mass and 6 weeks of radiotherapy, radiation treatment on the other 12 tumors that are there. And he's trying to give me more time to live. I did remind him that the last lot of radiotherapy didn't work that long, and my surgeon doesn't want to operate, but he's not wanting to give up on me, which is really lovely. Then God bless him, and he's going to be calling me back in 2 weeks. We're at peace and trusting God for my miracle. With you, people around the world, and our church family praying for me as well. And then that it's going to come to pass in Jesus' mighty name. So that's part of her prayer request. And then I'd asked her, she'd heard what more that was going on, and she said, I gave the latest news on the MRI, and I'm just waiting for a call at the end of the month from my oncologist to see how the meeting went with my surgeon and the radiation team. I've had a few tough days, got a bit low and had a few bad headaches, but I'm still standing and speaking out the promises of God. And Mike, her husband, continues to pray over me and the leaders and worship team as well, plus a few others that we trust are meeting on Monday evening at church to pray and sing over me again. They're also going to be fasting, and I'm being well loved and looked after. Like you, everyone is believing God for a miracle in Jesus' mighty name. So you can see, in the natural, the enemy is trying to cause her to have fear. The enemy is trying to set things back, and then even trying to get these headaches in there again. But then she was telling me about a dream she had the night before. She went on her trip over to Southampton, because on the island, she has to take a ferry and travel over to the mainland to get to where the doctors are. And she was saying the night before going to Southampton Hospital for MRI results, I had a dream that I was waiting in the outpatient's room with my friend, Rebecca. That's who went with her. And my name was called, so we stood up, but my head went all dizzy. So I stood, still hoping it would settle down, but it didn't. Everything went black. And I said to Rebecca, has someone turned off the lights? No, she replied, and panic set in because I couldn't see anything. So she guided me into the oncologist's room and sat me down. Straight away, he could tell something was wrong, and he sent me for an emergency MRI. The results were that I'd gone blind. I was utterly devastated, knowing that life would no longer be the same. Adjusting to being blind was horrid. It felt like I'd lost everything. I was no longer an independent lady. I had to rely on so many people for help. I woke up crying and scared. And after a while, I gathered myself and told the devil, God hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And when I was in your kingdom, I was blind. But then I got born again, and the veil was removed from my eyes so that I could see. So you're not taking my eyesight in Jesus' mighty name. But the next day I spoke to my oncologist, and he said that the larger mass is now affecting the optic nerves. In 2016, my surgeon told me that the optic nerves were crushed and that I'd lose my sight. Praise God that I didn't, and a year later, both optic nerves were completely restored. The enemy is still trying to scare me, but he's a liar, and we're continuing to trust our amazing Father to complete the work that he has started. So as you can see from those notes from Karen, she is truly needing more prayer. Like way back at the beginning, when we first did the program on her quite a few months ago, she was told she only had a few weeks, and God's already given her all of this time and she went for weeks with no headaches, which she was having regularly, pretty much daily before that. So God is working, even though in the natural results of those tests, it wasn't seen. at that point. But it hadn't grown as much as the doctors expected either. So please keep Karen in your prayers, knowing that this is not an easy time. But also remember, look at this next picture. Please do not feed the fears. Like you see signs in national parks all over, please do not feed the bears. Well, this one is please do not feed the fears. Karen needs to have prayer going up regularly. If you can remember to keep her in your prayer daily, I know she greatly appreciates it. She has spoken so many times about how God has touched and reached her through so many people praying, and it's touched her heart to the point that she's been in tears at times, realizing how much many people love her around the world, and you are some of those people. So please keep her in your prayers. And I've asked Jerry if we could do the song, The Goodness of God, as our closing song, because each one of these situations needs to see the goodness of God flowing in and through their ministries and their lives. So please, let's keep Levanta with their founder, Sonata, as well as Dr. Carlos Quiroa and his ministry, as they're working towards setting up this March for Jesus, Marcha de Gloria, which will be held April 11th in Mexico, if any of you are interested, as well as Sylvia and Daniel Pineda and the work that they're doing there in Tepoztlan. Keep them all in prayer. They need it desperately. And now, as well as keeping Karen in prayer and praying against the enemy getting in with lies and fear. Pray hard for her, that her mind will be protected as she sleeps. The goodness of God will be what will radiate and the only thing that will be allowed to impact her sleep. So let's keep those things in prayer. Jerry, the goodness of God.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in the darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness of God.
I will sing of the goodness of God. And in each and every one of these situations, that's what's happening. There are people that are strongly believing in the goodness of God and seeing the goodness of God in their lives and in their ministries. So please, those different prayer requests, the prayer needs for Levanta, for more regular donors and finances, and an expansion of their core team members down there in the area that can, so they don't have to travel from Oaxaca all the way up to Puebla every time, but they can have like a base in Puebla as well and over in other major areas. Then it will be much, much more feasible to carry out without them being completely worn out. So keep them in prayer. That's Sonata Bone and Elvira Duran and her husband Martine, and their daughter also works with them as part of the team. And keep them in prayer as they reach out to do that. And then Dr. Carlos Quiroa and his wife Ingrid, and then of course Daniel and Sylvia Pineda, who are part of their ministry. They're the pastors of their church in Tepoztlan, the pastors of the Torre Fuerte or Strong Tower Church. So please keep them in prayer, as well as the preparation for this Marcha de Gloria, the March of Glory, on April 11th. It's a big challenge. And we were talking about it, actually. It's a huge challenge. Setting up this stage with musicians for 4 hours straight in one of the major plazas of the city, and having the streets allocated where they could do the march right in Mexico City. Keep them in prayer. Dr. Carlos has a vision that is amazing. His vision for that country, his love for that country. And he's not Mexican. They're actually from Guatemala, but God gave them a heart and moved them to Mexico many, many years ago, where this ministry has flourished and is reaching the country in amazing ways. So Dr. Carlos and Ingrid Quiroa and their ministry, Torre Fuerte or Strong Tower, and Sylvia and Daniel Pineda and the work that they're doing into Tepoztlan. And then please, you've seen several of the videos on Karen's life and what's going on with her. I'll put the links up in the description so you can find them again. If you didn't see them, you'll be able to find them and get a refresh look on what's really going on with these tumors that she's battling with and the struggle that she's gone through for these several years already. Having been misdiagnosed in the beginning, she was diagnosed with, it was a thyroid problem, and they completely destroyed her thyroid dealing with this, only to find out it wasn't thyroid, it was this brain tumors that she was dealing with. So please keep them in prayer and know that God has awesome things coming up for all of them. So please keep them in your prayers. God bless you, and let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the power that we know there is in prayer. It says, the fervent prayers of a righteous man availeth much. And so, Lord, thank you for the power that you have placed in prayer, and that you've given us, each and every one of us, the authority to pray with these needs and reach out to you, Father, knowing that you hold the key, you hold the solution to each and every one of these needs. And we know that there is nothing too great for you. So, Father, have your perfect will in Levanta Ministry with Sonata, the founder, and their directors, Mexican directors, Lord, as well as with Dr. Carlos and Ingrid Quiroa. And Father, in Karen's life, please reach out and touch each and every one of them now. We ask in your precious name, Father, have your perfect will. Praise you, Lord. I love you, Father. In your precious name. Amen. Praise God. I pray that this has inspired you and has touched you and encouraged you to be praying for each one of these situations. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
On my knees I start my day with you, for I know this is a way that I can help you rise above. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my